Hi everyone, today we're going to do a fat fast. It is part 2 of last week's video. I'm Anita from KetogenicWoman.com, where I share keto and carnivore recipes and other cooking ideas that have helped me to lose over 130 pounds. If you're new here, I hope you check out my website, check out some of my other videos. Welcome back to all of you returning subscribers. I hope you like today's video. Hello everyone, today is Monday, which to me means another fat fast day. I have been doing them every Monday, 3 weeks in a row so far. So last week I filmed it and it's out there on YouTube. I'll link it down below in case you missed it. That was part 1. Today is part 2. And the reason it's part 2 is because last week I showed a whole bunch of things on the counter, all the different choices you have for doing a fat fast. But of course I was not able to cook them all in one day. One thing about a fat fast is that you get really full on very little, and so it would have been a waste to cook too much. So I'm going to cook a few things today that I didn't cook last week, starting with pork jowls. So in last week's video, I had a big bag of pork jowls that I found in the butcher's freezer. If you go into a butcher shop, make sure you check their freezer section. That is where they keep all the more unusual things that you won't necessarily find at the meat counter. So that's where I found this pork jowls, and I've really been enjoying them. So I have done them in the air fryer. Like I had a very large piece, if you remember from last week, so I cut it into smaller pieces. A couple of days ago I cubed that into bite-sized pieces, put in the air fryer for 5 minutes at 390. It was delicious. It's kind of like pork belly bites. The pork jowls have more fat content than the pork belly, and so it's about 96% fat compared to just over 80%, I think, in the pork belly, which is pretty decent. It's also more tender, believe it or not, than the pork belly. Yesterday I took another piece and I sliced it up kind of like bacon, and I just fried it in the cast iron pan. So this is cold. These are leftovers from yesterday, but this is kind of what it looks like. It looks like, you know, really fatty, extra thick bacon, and it tastes just as good as you think it might. It was excellent. So that's that. But today I wanted to show you, this is my last piece before I have to try and get some more. Here is a cross section so that you can see just what that looks like when you are cutting it up. So today what I'm going to do is, I need to cook it because it's been defrosted in my fridge for a couple of days. This one is cooked, so I can put that back in and eat it tomorrow. I am going to cut this into, not into like bacon-like pieces. You can cut it like this and get something like that. You need a super sharp knife because the other side has the skin. So you absolutely have to have a sharp knife or you could hurt yourself. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to cut it into small pieces and fry it in the cast iron pan, because I know that not everybody has an air fryer. My preference would be to air fry it because it's just easier and the mess is all contained inside the air fryer. But I know most of you probably have a cast iron pan at least. So, I mean, that's a very minimum for a carnivore, is to have a cast iron pan. So I'm going to cut it up and then we'll go over to the stove. But first, let's cut it. So you can see that that skin is not that easy. This is a super sharp knife. So I am going to do just some big chunks. Well, I'm going to save this nice meaty piece for the dogs. So we'll put that there for them. I was interested to see how much this weighed pre-cooking. So I'm just going to weigh that. 10 ounces. well, let's call it 10 ounces. All right. Okay, so I am going to take it over to the stove and we'll cook it up. Okay, I have got the frying pan heated up. I'm going to put the rest of these in. Spread them out a bit. I didn't even add any fat because there's going to be a lot of fat in here for sure. It'll render off plenty. Now for these, you want to either have a good splatter screen or a lid. So I'm just going to grab my lid right now. Or you're going to be cleaning up a big mess anyways. So it's if you can mitigate it with a lid, awesome. That's why I like to use the air fryer. So, but yeah, listen to that. It's like snap, crackle, pop. I'm going to turn it down to medium now. And they do take a few minutes because they're big and chunky. So I'll just keep an eye on them and turn them and all that. I think I should turn on the fan too. Basically, I'm trying to make sure that all the sides crisp up, if that's even possible, but, and a bit of a pain with the mess, but so worth it. Okay, I'm calling these done, and I'm gonna take them out of this pan. Here's our fried pork belly. So I want to actually see, I'm gonna weigh out the whole thing. So I'm curious about how much shrinkage there was. I need tongs for that. I started out with 10 ounces. So just wanna see. 7.3 ounces. So we lost almost 3 ounces. Okay, so that's fine. And now I think I'm probably gonna eat about half of this. So thinking it's going to be 3.5 ounces. We'll see if I can get through. You'd be amazed how filling something like this is. That's 3.7. I'm gonna take a slightly smaller piece. 3.6, okay, big deal. But anyways, so this is going to be my first, I mean, I had the coffee, the butter coffee and everything, but this is going to be like my first solid meal today. Because I do like to eat my meals rather than drink them. If I drink too much fat, as in butter coffee, I get the gastro distress big time. It is much easier for me to eat the fat. So I'm gonna go have this. When we come back later, I'm going to show you how to make, and I've only done this once, so it's still in that experimental stage, but I'm gonna show you how I make steak and butter gals egg pudding, only a very high fat version. So we're gonna do that, and then I'm also going to, hopefully this will be thawed out by then, because I wanna cut a piece and see what it looks like. It looks like this has kind of got, you know, a certain amount of protein in it. This is pork lard from the butcher's freezer. And yeah, so then I'll also know what else we're gonna do today. So we'll see you back in the next segment. Okay, I'm back. It's been a few hours. I'm going to make some high-fat egg pudding in a moment. But first, I have to tell you what happened during those few hours. I accidentally made something kind of amazing. I had no idea this was going to happen. So this morning I showed you this bag of lard, I guess. It's pork fat. And I opened it up and it's like sheets like this, right? So I've never seen this before. I've never worked with it before. I had no idea what to expect. So I cut it up into some squares and threw it in the air fryer just to see what would happen.
Hang on, now my hands are greasy.
I just wanted to see what would happen. And this happened. So I don't know if you can see that, but it kind of reminded me of these. So I tried a couple of them. They were very much like that, except for not crunchy. They are, you know, they were crispy on the outside, juicy on the inside. Warm, they were extremely good. So when I took them out of the air fryer, I left these 3 in, and I haven't tasted these yet. I left them in for another 5 minutes, and you can see that they're way more shriveled up looking than, like they're smaller and more shriveled up than this bunch over here. So the ones on the left cooked for 8 minutes, and the ones on the right cooked for about 14 minutes. So I'm actually going to try one right now. Wow. I think I accidentally made the perfect snack for Fat Fast Day. These are just melt in your mouth. Now, had I eaten them when I took them out of the air fryer while warm, I think they may be crunchy. Right now they're not, or leave them in longer. But they're really good. So I'm going to play with this a little more and see at what point they become like these. And also, yeah, like how, you know, I don't know how to store them. I don't know anything. All I know is this is sort of like an accidental fat fast meal or snack or something. I just wanted to let you know about it. So if you see something like this, I found this in the butcher's freezer where all the other treasures are. And all it says is pork fat from local pork. So, yeah, I'm gonna be playing with this. I have lots to play with. So I'm gonna get this out of the way. I just needed to tell you about this. And we're going to start on the egg pudding. Okay, I think all of you are probably familiar with Bella from Steak and Butter Gal, her egg pudding. I'm sure we've all made it or tried to make it. It is normally eggs, an equal part eggs to an equal part liquid, and that's usually either water or broth or something along those lines, and you get this nice silky egg pudding. I will link that below if you want to try that if you haven't already or have never seen it. But I've been experimenting with a super high fat version for 80-20. So I've got a couple of them here. Today I'm going to try for my third experiment something different yet again than these two. So this one is made with half eggs, half heavy cream as the liquid. And it is very silky smooth inside. I don't know if you can see. It turned out perfect, other than it's, you know, kind of thin. Like I only make small amounts when I'm experimenting in case they don't turn out. I don't want to waste all the ingredients. This one with the cream, I also added some cinnamon. And it tastes really good. I can totally imagine eating that with some unsweetened whipped cream on top. That it would be very nice. There's no sweetener in this one at all. And then this one here, I made with, and I'll bring it out. This is for those of you who love eggs fried in butter, like a lot of butter, because this just tastes like super buttery eggs. This was half eggs, half melted butter. And so I enjoyed that. I just added salt. So like I said, super buttery eggs. This version that I'm going to make right now, I have some brown butter in the fridge that's been sitting in a jar for about a week. I thought I would like having a jar of brown butter in the fridge to just scoop out when I want, but it turns out I kind of ignore it. I really prefer the little bites because I know, okay, that's a teaspoon, that's a tablespoon, whereas this one, I would have to measure it. So I haven't, I'm only, the first day I had a scoop and that was it. So I want to use it up. So I'm going to melt this down in the microwave, combine it with an equal part egg, and then I will show you how I'm doing it in the double boiler. The method is going to be identical whether you want to make the buttery egg version, the creamy version, or this version. It's all the same. Or, if you want to make Bella's original version, it's, just half liquid, half eggs. I'm going to just grab a couple of things and then we'll get started with that. Okay, so I've melted my brown butter. I'm going to put it in that beaker because I'm not quite sure how much exactly I have in here. And if I'm short, I'm just going to top it up, I guess, with some water. But we're going to start with 2 eggs. I'm going to put 2 eggs into this measuring cup. And you do need to measure, it's good to put it in something that has measurements because of that equal liquid, equal egg ratio that you want to get. Okay, so this is just under half a cup. It's about 100 mils. I'm going to hope that this is about 100 mils. Wow, that is about as close as I'm going to get. Perfect. Now you don't want to pour this, if you've melted some butter, you don't want to put it in your eggs hot. You want it to be kind of tepid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this into this bowl, and it's going to go into this thing, which is the top of my double boiler. Now the other day when I made the cream version one, I had a big frying pan and I put a rack in there, put the bowl on top of the rack and a lid. That works too. And that's, the video that I will link below for Steak and Butter Gal's original pudding, egg pudding, that's how she does it. So that's how I learned to do it. So I'll link that below so you can take a look at that. And we are going to go over to the stove and make this egg pudding. Okay, our water is boiling. So I'm turning it down and I've got the egg mixture, the egg brown butter mixture in the top of the double boiler here. And I'm going to just put it on top and cover it with the lid. Now you do want to just leave a tiny little, don't cover it completely. Let me see. So you want some of the steam to get out. So that's hopefully what I've done here. I'm going to set this for about 5 minutes because I think I overcooked the one I had this morning. And I think if I had taken it out sooner, it might have been a little more, it wasn't anywhere near silky like the cream version was. So I'm going to try this. This is something I'm going to continue to experiment with. I might try one tomorrow with maybe adding a little bit of water along with this. So we'll see. But this is what I'm doing for right now. And we'll check back on this in a couple minutes to see how it's doing. But it's as simple as that to make the egg pudding. Okay, the timer went off at 5 minutes and I set it for another 3 minutes, because if you kind of can see that, it's too runny in the middle. So you want it to sort of be stiff, I guess, or bouncy. Right now it's, although that is a lot of butter up there, so, but I think I'm going to stop it now. It's been another 2 minutes, so 7 minutes altogether. So I'm going to stop it and bring it over to the counter, and then we'll see what we want to do with it. All right, here we are. It's got that kind of caramelly smell. This is going to be warm still. Okay, so your options are, I mean, it depends on if you like to eat this hot or cold. I kind of like it cold usually, but you could scoop some out. I'm going to scoop some out right now in a little bowl or dish or something so you can see what it looks like. Ooh, hang on. So the other thing with all the butter in here, putting it in the fridge is probably not a bad idea, to let the butter kind of harden, I guess. And then this will be, like, you'll be able to pick it up rather than, you know, what I'm doing here. I'm just going to take out a little piece. Yeah, because it's hard to get your, like if you're going to divide this into 4 pieces or whatever, then you got all the butter running everywhere. So I'm going to put this in the fridge, and then we'll come back in a few minutes once it's all hardened, and then you'll be able to see what that is like. Okay, while we're waiting for the egg pudding to harden up in the fridge, I'm going to put these in the microwave and see what happens with that.
I'm getting hungry. It's time for something to eat. Okay, they're sizzling.
I will be figuring out the macros for all this in a bit. Right now, I have no idea. Oh, Pippi would like some. I haven't even tried it yet, Pippi. Very good. Just give Pippi just a little taste. Sit. Oh, you already are sitting, aren't you? Good girl. What about you, Teddy? Are you gonna come? Usually you're first in line. Sit. Okay, so these are good, and I'm going to bring out the egg pudding to see how that's doing. Okay, so I'm going to take some out. The butter hasn't solidified all the way, but it is a little bit better. So let me give that a taste. It's not silky like Bella's or like the one I made with the cream that I showed you earlier. But it smells amazing. It's really good with that melted brown butter in there. Wow, that is really good. I mean, there's no sweetener in here, but it kind of tastes sweet, so it's different. Yeah, so I'm going to continue to play with this to try to get a silkier texture, because that's one of the reasons why I like the egg pudding, but that flavor is amazing. So I'm going to have all the macros for this. So this morning we had the pork jowls. I will have I think I already showed you the macros for that. I'm going to have macros for this and for the egg pudding. And this is, I mean, the fat fast isn't about eating 3 meals a day. It's kind of like just eating fat throughout the day as you get hungry. So, you know, I've also, probably later I will have some of those butter tallow bites that I made last week. I will put that link below because these 2 videos kind of belong together. The one from last week is, you know, part 1, I guess, and this is part 2 today. And so it just gives you lots of different variety of things you can have on a fat fast day. So I will see you guys on the next video. Happy fat fasting.